just a little bit left to right. Coming up now, it's time for the bronze medal match in the men's compound team event. As competitive as the women's event, the men's tournament sees China going up against Turkey in the bronze medal match. China losing out by a single point to the USA as Turkey lose out to Korea. So the teams are ready to come out and expect a rowdy crowd here as China face Turkey.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome athletes to the field for the compound men's team bronze medal match. Target number 1, representing the People's Republic of China, Sun Yingjie, Wang, Zheng. Their competitors are target number 2.
幸亏我懂英文，幸亏我懂英文，你知道为什么你知道吗？我也看对面这边两个
Turkey，
因为土耳其我这个红色的，我还以为是中国队跟我们
Suleyman Araz，
我还以为是两个中国队打来的。
Evren Muhammed Yetim。
我一看的嘛，哎兄弟。
The line judge for this match is Shanghai.
There we go, the teams are out and ready to go. Mackenzie, the volume has gone up a little bit in the crowd. The Chinese getting right behind their team here.
Yeah, definitely having the home team is an advantage when you have quite a warm welcome as the Chinese team does here. And we almost have a replay of the women's bronze medal match. It's just China versus Chinese Taipei is what we saw for the women.
Well, as you can see, China will shoot first. This for the bronze medal in the men's compound team event.
A 9 is not really what these guys are looking for a start, but I think the first arrow is definitely a good telltale sign of where to aim for this second archer.
Beautiful second shot there. China line up with Sun Yingjie, Wang Yu and Zheng. So dropping 2 points in the first 3 arrows, not too bad. Turkey will go out with Muhammed, Yetim, Evren, Cagiran and Suleyman Araz.
Kind of the same area as the first arrow from the Chinese team, so I think there's maybe a little bit of change in the wind, and they're just going to adjust really quick as quickly as possible as this team shoots their second arrow.
I think you're right, there has been a little change to the wind, and you mentioned earlier on a bit swirly here with all these buildings around, and it's going left to right, right to left, and sometimes a headwind and sometimes a tailwind.
I think something to keep in mind too when you're shooting in a field that has swirly wind is to take the socks into account as far as which direction the wind is blowing if it's strong, but also to not mind them if it's not a strong wind. Just make a good shot.
So a good response from China. Possible 58 here with 2 more 10s.
Running down quite a bit on time there for the Chinese team.
Solda. 9 yönlü. Süle acele etme yani. Doğru yerde. Solda.
Turkey really needs a 10 here to be able to keep a lead on this Chinese
Şu anda
team.
24 saniyen var.
Yeah, pulling 2 nines. I think the swirly wind is actually starting to
Al sola.
become a bit of a factor here.
Bravo.
Well, just about clinging on to the lead they'd built, but only by 1, and not a bad start at all from the Chinese team. So Turkey there
Sülo, giriş çıkış çok
having
iyi.
a conversation.
Hiç
They
acele
had
etme. Onlar
potentially
başlayacak
a
şimdi.
chance for a 3-point lead.
Yani
They come out
en
with
az
just
iki tane
1.
atmamız lazım.
The wind, is that playing a part, do you think?
Atmamız lazım ki
Like I said before, I think
bir
it's
şekilde
more of a
önde
mental
tamamlayalım.
thing than it is an actual
Güzeldi, gel.
movement of the arrows.
Yeah, well, Turkey getting 3 10s to kick things off here in the first end. But just 2 9s in the last 3 arrows meant that they'd dropped a potential 3-point lead. They seem quite relaxed and quite happy though.
I think that's the best thing you can do when you come into a finals
Tabii sen
venue
attıktan sonra süre duruyor ama sen çıktıktan sonra China'nın şeyi başlıyor. Süresi başlıyor.
is
Fark
to
etmez
listen
ya.
to your coach
Niye
and
kızıyorsun?
to trust your teammates and yourself.
The Turkish team looking very relaxed, a bit stoic from the Chinese. So trailing by 1 in this bronze medal match. It's time for the start of the second end, and China will shoot first. That's a great shot there. First time in 10 years that China have competed in the men's compound team event here in Shanghai. They won a bronze medal in 2006, but haven't competed since 2009.
Yeah, the Chinese team has a little bit stronger men's recurve and women's recurve teams. So it's nice for this home team to be able to see their competitors out today on Compound Saturday. Everyone is still low. The groups are low and left, low and left, low. So I would be making adjustments. Click, click, click, click.
So you say click, referring to changing your sight a little bit. Is it down to the individual whether you go for a sight change or an aim change, or does it tend to be a bigger change if you're going for an aim change?
Absolutely, I think it's definitely personal to if your shot felt good or if you need to adjust based on it was a good shot, just to go in the middle.
So matching each other through the first half of the second end. China's grouping a little bit bigger than the Turkish grouping. Happy with that one.
You know it when he walked off the line. The only thing to watch here for Team China is that they don't have a lot of time, and their archers really like to shoot long shots.
Average of 20 seconds per arrow across the end. Left 21 for the final arrow, and it's another 10.
Just 12 seconds to be able to shoot this last arrow.
A brilliant grouping of 3 there for China, all bang in the center of the target. Pressure on Turkey now.
Güzel, iyi.
It's a good
Haydi
answer.
Sülo. Doğru yerde birader. Sülo doğru yerde. Acele etme. İkisi oldu. Aferin koçum. Doğru yerde. Vazgeçme. Birader.
Well, the wind has switched to blowing from right to left.
Saat 10 yönünde. Muhammed şu anda 24 saniyen var. Solda.
A 10 required for Turkey to,
Saat 10 yönünde.
well, only drop 1 point and stay level. And they get the 10, so we're all square after 2 ends. A brilliant performance from China in the second end. Finishing with 3 10s has brought them back level.
Üçüncü olsaydı çok aldı.
First end, they lost points, but China fought back in the second end, and here are all of their arrows. Just the one high there, but you're saying everything's sort of dropping low.
Yep, just a tad low. You've got some that are really close right there in the middle in that X ring. I mean, just millimeters away from the center. But definitely everything is low of that X, low of center.
Now just 15 millimeters away of their closest arrow, and if you like, the momentum switching over to Team China as we look back on those last 2 10s of that second end. Exceptionally close on the first one, and that one very close as well. Confidence high, crowd behind them, and the momentum with them.
There's a tie out there between China and Turkey.
So with the scores level, China shot first in the first end, so they'll shoot first again here in the third end. We're halfway through the bronze medal match here in Shanghai, and China have fought right back. So still pulling off to the left. Well, they really are using all their time.
Absolutely. So something to watch for when you're shooting a team round is to make sure that you are stepping on and off the line quickly. You want to be able to make the same shot that you normally do whenever you're shooting practice or competition, but you want to make sure that you give your teammates enough time to be able to make their shot. So quick steps on and off the line are so crucial when it comes to finals.
Long hold here from the second archer, but again, pulling left. And I mean, that's being hypercritical because we're talking a matter of centimeters here from the center of the target, and the shooting line is 50 meters from the target itself.
Yes.
first archer takes time just to load the arrow. Using all of his 20 seconds and more, but shoots a 10. And as you said, Mackenzie, it now starts to put pressure on the second and third archers.
Really tried to give his teammates some more breathing room for that last arrow, but still just, I mean, 11 seconds to shoot this shot is very much of a time constraint for a compound archer.
Yeah, inside 5, but gets him away. 3 10s. And you have to say it's the first and second archers from China who are taking their time just to load the arrow onto the bow. That's where all the time's disappearing for China. A hold isn't particularly long once they get into the draw. Turkey need a perfect score though. And they will go into the final end trailing by a single point as a minimum.
Haydi Sülo, temiz bir 10.
Well, that's just gone to a minimum of a 2-point deficit for Turkey. They can get to 170, but they need a 10 here in order to do so. Well, that was a solid 10 there in the end, but Turkey trailing by 2 points going into the final end of regulation time. China leading by 2, have the crowd right behind them, and despite the pressure put on the third archer, they did score 3 10s at the end of that end. I think they must be used to this, and the anchor archer must be used to the fact that he may not have as much time as he would like ideally.
That's something we look for in an anchor archer as a team, is to look for someone who is good at quick shots and good at putting them in the middle, like this archer right here. Just a really solid shot. But that's something that you need to be comfortable with as the anchor archer.
Yeah, and like I say, must be used to this. That he would have shot with his teammates here certainly throughout the week, if not before. China leading by just a couple of points are in the driving seat here. Turkey will shoot first in this fourth end. So the range is clear. Can Turkey fight back against the home nation of China here in this bronze medal match?
Hadi dayanamayacaklar, haydi. Doğru yerde kardeşim, acele etme.
It's definitely a good answer from Turkey. They really need to stay right there in the 10 ring to be able to put some pressure on China. Again, just low and left.
Yeah.
The whole group.
Yes. Aferin. Teşekkürler.
So just dropping the single point, China, if they score a perfect 30 in the first half, can increase their lead here.
It's a good way to start.
They look confident, don't they?
Yeah.
For a team that hasn't competed here for 10 years. They're riding the crest of the wave here, China.
Yeah, I think the home crowd is definitely helping them out, keeping them in the moment right now. But they still need to stay in the 10 because, you never know what's going to happen with Turkey. If you get too excited, too confident, there's a chance for some mistakes. So if Turkey stays calm here and shoots some 10s, they have a chance to come back.
Well, they need to shoot well in these really glaring conditions. It's so bright out there. I know you say that the water doesn't really make too much of a difference, but I would have thought there would be some, you know, it would add to the glare effect here.
It just depends on what angle the sun is at.
And each of the archers, so you saw the first one wearing a cap, the second one from Turkey not wearing a cap. I think the third guy, he's got a little extra flap on his cap to block the sun out.
Yeah, it's a sunshade, so he, as a right-handed archer, just might know that he has too much glare from that left side to be able to see his peep sight. That's what he needs to shoot well like that.
Each to their own, and all three archers with a different shading from the sun, all scoring 10s, putting the pressure on China. 19.
China has to shoot a perfect score here to be able to take this match.
Yeah, a 10 and a 9 in the first 2 arrows will put some serious pressure on the third archer. There's a 10. Another 10 would be what China want here, giving the third archer just a little bit of breathing room. Another 10. China have a chance here of standing on the podium in Shanghai. 10 required from the anchor athlete.
Only 12 seconds remaining on the clock.
Gets it out, gets a 10. And China have taken the bronze here in Shanghai. And just listen to the crowd. Really, really great stuff. It's always good when the home nation are involved in medal matches, but to win one here with such a buoyant crowd, they played so well.
Yeah, it was back and forth a little bit there at the beginning, but I think China pulled out a lead there at the very last 2 ends, and just really solid shooting from this team. A well-deserved bronze medal for a 10-year gap from the medal.
Yeah, and a little bit of drama and entertainment. I'm sure those first 2 archers from China knew that they'd be getting the crowd on the edge of their seat by taking up most of their share of their 60 seconds for each set of 3 arrows. Man, the anchor for China was in absolutely scintillating form, certainly in the second 2 ends.